Hey, Rowdy Lemon here, and today I'm going to show you how to add weapon kick to your 2D shooting games. Let's go. So adding weapon kick or recoil to your gun when you fire it is actually a really simple process. And to do that, I'm actually going to leverage the animation or animator controller. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into my animations folder, and I'm just going to right click, create a new animator controller. I'm going to call this weapon kick. Then I'm just going to click, drag, and drop that onto my weapon itself. Onto the weapon. Perfect. So now the weapon has this new animator controller. Then I'm going to open the animation tab down here, and I'm just going to click create. I'm going to create a new animation. I'm going to call it kick and save that. Perfect. Now with kick selected, I'm just going to hit record. Then on the sprite representation of my gun, which is a child of my weapon game object, I'm just going to click and I'm just going to change its X position a little bit. So let's move it over, let's say -0.2. I'm not sure how that'll look, but probably pretty good. And then we'll come back 0.5, and then we'll just set that back to 0. All right, what does that look like? All right, nice. We could even maybe tip it up a little bit. So maybe what does that look like if we kind of rotate it up a little bit, like when it fires, kind of kicks up a bit. Let's do 4. And then back here, we got to put it back to 0. So what does that look like? Yeah, I kind of like that. It's really fast right now, so you can't really tell what it's going to look like. But next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be done recording. I'm going to go to my animator. Actually, I need to make sure I have the weapon selected. So we have kick, but we don't want kick to be the default animation, right? Similar to what we've done before, we want to have an empty state. So I'm going to create a state, and this won't have any animation on it. I'm just going to call it no kick. And I'm going to make that the default state. So set as the default layer. Then I'm going to make a transition from no kick to kick, and then back from kick to no kick. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a trigger for that. And I'm going to I'll call this kick as well. Everything's named kick. So then from kick, no kick to kick, we need to not have an exit time. Let's expand our settings. No fixed duration, transition duration, we're going to set to 0. And then we want to make sure we have a trigger of kick. Cool. Now from kick back to no kick, this will have an exit time of 1 because we want to play the entire animation. And then transition duration back to 0 as well. The next thing that we need to do is we actually need to ensure that our animation for kick isn't looping. And so I'm going to go ahead and select our kick animation in our animations folder, and I'm just going to unselect loop time. That way we make sure it only plays the animation once and before it cycles back to no kick. Otherwise we might get some weird stuttering action where it kicks twice or something during one trigger. Nice. Now the next thing that we need to do is actually enable this animation to happen when we fire a gun. So to do that, I'm going to open up our script for our weapon and make sure we're doing that. So in our weapon script, the first thing that we're going to need is a reference to that animator. So I'm going to go ahead and add one here right after muzzle flash. So public animator, and this will be kick anim. Then down here when we attack, just like how we do for muzzle flash, we're also going to do kick anim.set trigger, and that'll be kick. Cool. Let's go back to Unity and make sure we got that all set up correct. So I'm going to grab our weapon, and I'm going to make sure that on our weapon script, our kick anim is actually set. So I'm just going to drag our animator into that slot right there. Cool, now that should be all good to go. So I'm going to hit play and see if the animation for kick is playing correctly. Perfect. So here you can see the kick of our gun. We can take this another step further if you'd like. You can maybe create multiple animations so it kind of has some variance. It doesn't just look so uniform. And then in your weapon script, you can kind of do maybe a little randomization, right? You can select a different trigger for a different animation randomly whenever you fire your gun. And that way you can have some variance to the way you shoot and animate your kick as well. And there you have it, weapon kick. Once again, thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed what you saw, subscribe, drop a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think, and stay tuned for more game development content in the future.